All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call the regular city council meeting of January 8, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Zasada.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
McAdams.
Here.
Verbic.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mayor Barnes.
Here.
8 present.
Excellent. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd love Captain Hy-Vee to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mr. Gentry. All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. I'd like to have a motion to modify the agenda in order for under Section D, presentations, number 2. I would like to add a brief report regarding the Lucinda Bridge from our city engineer, Zach Gill. Can I have a motion to approve that?
So move. Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Walker. Questions or comments on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Zasada.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the agenda has been approved, so moving on to presentations. Number 1, a proclamation honoring the Northern Illinois University football team on their win in the Camellia Bowl on December 23rd, 2023. So I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. It is Northern Illinois University Husky Football Day, January 8, 2024. Whereas Northern Illinois University is an outstanding institution of higher learning and features a storied Division I football program. And whereas the NIU football Huskies competed against Arkansas State in the Camellia Bowl on December 23rd, 2023 under the direction of head coach Thomas Hammock. And whereas the Huskies defeated Arkansas State in an exciting 21-19 victory in which quarterback Rocky Lombardi connected on 18 of 29 passes for 200 yards, and Ontario Brown ran for 132 yards on 25 carries for his 5th 100-yard game of the series. Man. Whereas the Huskies finished the year at 7-6, winning 6 of their final 8 games, including the bowl win. Now therefore, I, Cohen Barnes, as mayor of the city of DeKalb, Illinois, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 8, 2024, as Northern Illinois University Husky Football Day in the city of DeKalb. Let's give a round of applause for our Huskies. So I reached out to everyone at NIU, all the leadership, all the athletic teams, coaches. Everyone is traveling right now, so they couldn't come and accept it, but the chief of staff reached out and said he really thanks us for this proclamation and is excited about making this NIU Husky Football Day, and just wants to give his heartfelt thanks to the city of DeKalb for this, but also the entire community for being such great Huskies and supporting NIU and the football team. All right, moving on to number 2, our new agenda item, which is a brief report on Lucinda Bridge. Zach Gill, you want to come up and tell us what's going on?
Thanks for accommodating me. Wanted to give an update. Obviously, First Street Bridge is open to traffic now, and we continue to work on some of the appurtenances along the sides. Lucinda Avenue Bridge, we're finding out that is nearing clearance from all the utility conflicts. So we looked at the most sensible way to do this is to, as the second semester starts there at NIU, let them have their kind of mid-year move-in weekend. So the week of January 15th, then we'll leave them that Monday to kind of clear out of town, all the parents and friends and visitors. And then starting that week, might not be instantaneous, but by the end of the week, the detour and closure for the Lucinda Street Bridge will be re-erected. So you'll see that. You may not see them out there with a hammer right away the day it closes, but we figured the most sensible way is to establish this traffic pattern for the new semester for the university and the community, and let the contractor then work free from other interruptions, and we anticipate that being completed by this summer.
Awesome. Quick just summary too. Zach Gill is an amazing individual and a dedicated city engineer in the city of DeKalb. We know we've had a little bit of a hashtag bridge saga when you think of First Street and you think of Lucinda. But no, how often do we do bridges in the city of DeKalb? City Engineer Gill?
Yeah, those bridges usually have a lifespan of at least 50 years or more, so it's basically once a century when us now is once in the middle of a century.
Exactly. So this is a new foray for us, working on the bridges, but then also realize it's not just what the city does. There's a lot of contractors, subcontractors, and more importantly, on many of these episodes, it's been working with a lot of the utilities and trying to coordinate with them. Our goal was to have both bridges done by the end of last year. Should have been a slam dunk. We let everyone know a year in advance of this fact, roughly. But ultimately, I just want to say I know Zach has taken a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails from people in the community expressing their interest in this particular issues. And you've handled it incredibly well. And just know that those that are on the inside that understand how complex this is, just really appreciate the hard work that you've given into this. And we're really excited to have the bridges completed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to public participation. Hey, Joe, everyone wants to speak before the item itself. You want to just wait till then? Joe Gastiger, where are you? Oh, there you are, right up front.
Whatever, if other people want to speak at that time, sure.
Okay, yeah, I just figured that I know that's the agenda item you want to speak to, so we'll wait till K1.
Okay.
All right, moving on to, well, E, public participation. We don't have any in general. We have it all speaking at the agenda item K1 when we talk about going after the busing companies. Moving on to agenda item F, appointments. We're appointing Killian Becker, Thomas Skuzinski, and Rob Schreigler to the Citizens Environmental Commission, each for a 2-year term through December 31st, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve these appointments?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman or Alderwoman Larson. Roll call, please. Do we need roll
Larson?
call? Yeah? We'll do roll call.
You should do, yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbeck,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
Awesome. These appointments have been approved to our Citizens Environmental Commission. Moving on to agenda item G, consent agenda, number 1. All right, yeah.
Right?
That is great, thank you. And actually, I'm really glad people clap, because you realize the commissions that we have in the city of DeKalb are volunteers in our community that are stepping up and serving in a variety of different capacities, and we have some in our audience right now. I'm seeing multiple chairs, former chairs of our commissions. It is really cool to have a group of citizens that want to do more, and they're dedicating some time and energy to doing so. So just wanted to say thank you to all our commission members, and thank you for clapping during that time. That is fantastic. All right, moving on to agenda item G, the consent agenda. Number 1, minutes of the regular city council meeting of December 11, 2023. Number 2, accounts payable and payroll through December 28, 2023 in the amount of $3,804,574.70. Number 3, accounts payable and payroll through January 8, 2024 in the amount of $1,050,523.37. Number 4, investment and bank balance summary through November 2023. Number 5, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through November 2023. Number 6, Crime-Free Housing Bureau report, December 2023. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Walker. Any comments or questions, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbeck,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
The consent agenda has been approved. Moving on to agenda item H, public hearings, we have none. Agenda I, considerations, we have none. And then agenda item J, resolutions. Number 1, resolution 2024-001, authorizing an FY 2024 funding agreement with the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, DCDC, in the amount of $35,000 for economic development services from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Can I have a motion to bring, actually, the request I would have is to approve 1, 2, 3, and 4 in ombudsman fashion, unless someone has a problem with that.
So moved. Omnibus. Yeah.
Okay, moved by Alderman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Verbeck. So I'll read them all. I just read the first one. The second one is Resolution 2024-002, authorizing an FY 2024 funding agreement with the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau in the amount of $50,000 for tourism activities from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Number 3, Resolution 2024-003, authorizing an FY 2024 funding agreement with the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $35,000 for the purpose of facilitating community events from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. And number 4, Resolution 2024-004, authorizing a payment to the DeKalb County Community Foundation on behalf of the DeKalb Municipal Band for services January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $41,000. $1,288. Can I have a motion to bring all 4 of those to the floor?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Walker. City Manager?
Nothing to add. Your title and the background, I think, speak for themselves.
Yeah. Any questions or comments from council? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
All 4 resolutions pass. I know I'll be called on it, so what that means is Resolution 2024-001 passed, Resolution 2024-002 passed, Resolution 2024-003 passed, and Resolution 2024-004 passed as well. Awesome. Moving on to number 5, Resolution 2024-005, authorizing the renewal of the Microsoft Office 365 subscription Government Cloud Community with Dell Marketing LP through the State of Illinois Joint Purchase Master Contract for a 3-year term in the amount of $66,706.65. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
so moved,
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a little different. We have a subscription for a Microsoft Office 365 suite of applications. The current subscription was a 3-year subscription that expires the end of the month. So it's before you tonight is a new 3-year subscription. And you may not be aware, certainly state purchasing helps us get the lowest price on dump trucks and squad cars and the rest, but also they're bidding other kinds of tools, such as software tools such as this. And the low bid was awarded by the state program to Dell Marketing LP. Our particular needs added up to $66,706.65, which is about $10,000 less than the what we were paying per year in the current contract. So we recommend your approval of the contract with Dell Marketing.
Questions or comments, council? Being in IT, I'd love to answer some of these, but it's not necessary. All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-005 passes. Moving on to number 6, Resolution 2024-006, a resolution in support of studying the feasibility of reviving the Twin Cities Zephyr Amtrak route from Chicago to East Dubuque. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a non-binding resolution. It's not worth much more in the paper through none, but it does show some support for an ongoing conversation between folks west of us who are looking at some Amtrak service that, at least passenger rail service that was once available to them up to the early 70s and then went away. The previous Twin Cities Zephyr route was the old Chicago road. It kind of looped around us and went to Genoa and then headed west and ended up at Savannah. It was a rail for freight and also for passengers. There's quite a lot of discussion going on in communities between Chicago and the river, the Mississippi River, about how passenger rail might be reinstituted or expanded. And there's a lot of jockeying that will occur in the next 10 years. But this just says, you know, we're interested in passenger rail, particularly if it can go through the city of DeKalb. And Rochelle would be obviously a beneficiary too if that was the case. UP serves us, not the Burlington Northern, which is what currently owns that old path. But saw no harm in this. I was approached by people from the Twin Cities who realized that there is some conversation also with our 2 congressional districts that touch on that pathway. So I bring it to you. You can decide whether to approve it or not, but it seemed to be a matter of goodwill at this point.
Council, questions or comments? Yeah, so this is just our support, where maybe our support
For their
could-
efforts, basically.
could lead to
Can't-
passenger rail.
Probably can't hurt us, might
yeah.
help us.
Exactly. Much different than the commuter rail discussion
Yes.
we're having with Metro. Hearing no other questions or comments, roll call, please.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2024-006 passes. Number 7, Resolution 2024-007, authorizing an agreement for preliminary engineering services with Fair Graham and Associates LLC for the 2024 General Street Maintenance Program in an amount not to exceed $75,000. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Walker. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This time of year, fresh from the budget discussions of the late fall, we are looking at how we are going to provide the construction management and also the earlier phase of construction design and bidding for our street maintenance program. And the city engineer is recommending that preliminary engineering agreement go to Fair Graham. They had the project last year, did well by us in terms of resident interest, because a lot of these street improvements were obviously going through established residential neighborhoods, and the courtesies of the contractors are always important to the finished product. And we felt we had good results, and Fair Graham is in our list of pre-qualified engineers, which we do that list about every 5 years, and we find other work for the others. Just their round came up last year, and we'd like to continue it this year and free our city engineer up to continue his observation of the bridge project and some other things.
Questions or comments, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2024-007 passes. I forgot to say it earlier. If one of your resolution items has been passed by city council and you want to go home because you've got a lot going on, we don't take any offense to that whatsoever. I would recommend, if you want to see local city government in action, stick around for the next ordinance, because you will. You'll get to see what it's like being up here, as well as community participation, which is awesome. So hearing that, we're going to move on to agenda item K, which I have multiple speaker comments here. As a reminder, everyone has 3 minutes. I have to hold to the 3 minutes. I wish I could let some people go longer, but I'm just not able to, because of some people take advantage of that situation. We've had that in the past. So according to our city council guidelines, every speaker has 3 minutes. There will be a timer, hopefully up on the screen, but I will also, I think, there they are. Nice job in the back. They will have the timer, and they'll start it just so you have your own reference during that time. So I'm going to butcher some names, and I apologize in advance, but the first speaker I have for this agenda item is Jared Ade-Sefe. Jared? Desef, could be, yes, sorry. Yeah.
That's right, Jared.
Yeah, as long as you're Jared, I think we got the right one.
Yeah, it's
You're the
a
only
difficult-
Jared on here, so.
It's a very difficult last name, so
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Okay, I'm sorry, we're good?
You're good, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I wanted to speak because I came to the special meeting earlier this month on the same topic. And I actually work in Lake County where we've enacted similar ordinances. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the practicality about how it works and when it works. So the thing about this ordinance, it seemed to be a little bit of confusion, this only works if you find the bus before or during a deembarkation. What this ordinance allows local law enforcement to do is to approach the situation. It gives them the authority to talk to the bus driver, to find out what's going on, to get names of the bus driver, the busing company, number of people who are on the bus, the kind of medical attention they might need, other resources they might need, and then to convince or motivate that bus driver to actually go where the resources are. In this case, for better or for worse, that place is Chicago, and to bring those buses to where they need to be so that people get the resources that they need. So the way that ends up working is we contact Cook County Emergency Services. We're able to tell them, hey, this is the bus, this is their ETA, this is how many people they have. And then you pass that on to bus driver. Listen, now you're expected at this place, at this time, with this many people, and if you don't show up, the potential consequences are fines, potentially getting your bus impounded. If you have the resources to escort the bus all the way down there, that's great. Oftentimes that's not possible in an ideal world. That's what you would do. The reason that this is good, right, is because it allows you to prevent an emergency. Because even with the best intentions, if you have a large number of people dropped off without notice, it does create an emergency situation where you have people who are often desperate for food, water, medical attention, often ill-prepared for the weather, right, are now just out there in the elements until you're able to bring them to resources, which again is going to end up being Chicago. And during that period of time, you risk the potential for human tragedy, right? For something terrible to happen to one of those human beings that is now in this situation. So what the ordinance allows is for us to prevent that emergency from unfolding to begin with, which just reduces the risk of human tragedy. It does not do anything to address the wider issue of immigration, right? That's a totally separate issue. The whole purpose of this, if handled correctly and executed well, is to prevent human tragedy. So I would urge us all as a community, regardless of your political position, to take the win. And let's try to keep people as safe as possible and empower our city to do just that, to prevent tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Joe Gastiger.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I respectfully disagree with the speaker before me, although he knows much more about the implementation of this. I worry that this ordinance is likely to have effects that are very different from the ones that you intend. Assuming that word gets around, that the companies find out about this, it probably would keep companies from stranding people here in DeKalb, but would it really be better if refugees, because that's whom we're talking about people that have been approved for entry into the United States, would it really be better if busloads of people fleeing starvation or death squads or drug gangs were dropped off at 4 in the morning in Creston or Genoa or Kingston or Esmond instead? And when you decide, Mr. Mayor, when you describe how you and Bill Nicholas and Chief Byrd will be out on the street seeing that people are cared for and brought into Chicago if that's where they want to go, I'm very moved by that, and I believe you because I trust you. But you're asking people who threatened by what sounds like a "we don't want any more brown people" ordinance to trust the next mayor and the next city manager and the next chief of police to interpret those restrictions in the same way that you do, and that's a very big ask. They've heard, and you've heard here, at our special meeting, people get up to say that they think this ordinance is a great first step because it'll keep those invaders out who'll be ruining our property. It'll keep them away, who see it as a means to drive away undesirables. And it doesn't mean that to you, but it certainly means that to them. Now, a few years back, we had a problem with big parties over at our frat houses and apartment complexes spinning out of control. And then Chief Lowry asked the city to approve tougher rules about public assembly. And we worried about that because we said, well, this could be used to quash dissent. This could be used to suppress legitimate political speech. And Chief Lowry said, well, I would never use that. I would never do that to round up people on Lincoln and First Street. And I believed him, and everybody did. But that really wasn't the point, because policies can change and ordinances stick around. Now, I know you have a lot of respect on this city council for John Powell and his teachings about creating a sense of belonging versus othering people who are marginalized in our community. And I think with the best of intentions, I think you're othering neighbors in DeKalb, the people who plow our driveways and plant our shrubs and change the bed sheets at the hospital, and sing lullabies to their toddlers in any language other than English. And I think you ought to listen to those people before you create laws that will affect their loved ones and their extended families a whole lot more than mine.
Thank you, Joe. All right. I'm going to go with Frankie Sikio. Help me out.
Dichacho.
Dichacho.
Like muchacho, as my new friend over here has pointed out.
I love that connection you just
Yes.
made. That's great.
My name's Frankie Dichacho, and I'm a resident of DeKalb's 5th Ward. I've read the ordinance, I've watched video from Thursday's meeting, And I oppose the ordinance, and I hope that every council member will reject it. As we saw Thursday, many comments in support of this ordinance were motivated by fear, and some by misinformation. And so I would like to address an argument that I believe is made in good faith, but is not properly framed. We've heard that DeKalb does not possess the resources to support its own residents, let alone migrants. Well, I work to fight food insecurity in DeKalb, particularly among our public school kids and their families, and I know that there are a lot of people here experiencing need. There's no question. However, I'm deeply troubled by the attempt to pit that need as a way to deny migrants who are legally entering our country the right to enter our city. The people making this argument recognize that our resources are not equitably distributed amongst our most vulnerable committees. But rather than demand a meaningful reallocation of those resources, they are choosing to implicate migrants. And the result pits underserved communities against each other without actually solving the root issue. The truth is that we could take this opportunity to galvanize organizations and volunteers and individuals committed to human rights, dignity, and service. We could be expanding on infrastructure that serves our local residents in need so that in the event that any migrants do come to DeKalb, we'll be ready. The city is already prepared. As you, Mayor Barnes, said in an interview after Thursday's meeting, you are ready. The city has a plan for housing, feeding, providing transport to Chicago for migrants. So I don't understand why we need this ordinance. It feels like a solution in search of a problem, and I think it's divisive. We are seeing migration crises across the globe, and experts suggest they will only rise in the coming decades. So this moment is an invitation to recognize the humanity behind the need, to consider the devastating conditions that drive people from their homes and the perilous journey that they face as they seek safety and security. And it is an invitation to double down on helping rather than passing the buck. Finalmente, yo quiero decir a los migrantes que tal vez un día vendrán a DeKalb. Hay individuos y grupos aquí que les quieren ayudar. Cualquier cosa que nuestro gobierno diga que, perdóname. Cualquier cosa que nuestro gobierno diga hoy, ustedes son bienvenidos aquí.
Thank you, Frankie. Lynn Nguyen.
Hi.
Evening.
My name is Lynn Nguyen, and I am a constituent in Ward 2. I was here on Thursday, and the more I listen, the more I have to say something. I urge the City Council to oppose Ordinance 2024-001 and any efforts to deprive anyone of their fundamental right to safety. I was deeply disheartened when the council passed the ordinance. Although this ordinance was not intentionally discriminatory toward immigrants, the audience and several speakers on Thursday night, they perceive it as an opportunity to spread fear, division, and hatred among our neighbors and our communities. As leader, it's essential to understand the difference between intent and impact. You may have good intention, but it's crucial to acknowledge the negative impact that this ordinance could have on asylees, refugees, and immigrants, myself included, in our community. As an immigrant, I face stereotype and discrimination almost daily. The unwelcoming rhetoric surrounding this ordinance is very harmful to me and other immigrants in our community. During Thursday meeting, the most common argument for the ordinance were the lack of resources. Let's not confuse resources with priority. Marginalized communities have always been made to compete with each other for basic resources. And I had hoped that DeKalb, my city, would be different. I had hoped that we would be a community that strive for inclusivity, fighting against systemic racism and structural scarcity, and all form of exclusion. Only working together and lifting all groups can we ensure justice for all marginalized community and all people. So instead of passing this ordinance, I'm hopeful that the city can collaborate with other local city villages, including Chicago State Federal Government Representative, local social service agency, interfaith organization like the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network of Illinois, the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. I brought you two representatives who work very closely with those two organizations. I'd be more than happy to put you in touch. Together, we can create a plan to help asylees and asylum seekers reach their destination in the event that they arrive in the city of DeKalb. I firmly believe that as a community, we can unite to show compassion and support for those seeking safety. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Lynn. David Becker?
Thank you. Thank you, members of the City Council. This afternoon, I had an opportunity to hear our city manager, Bill Nicholas, speak to members of the faith community, and he described his hope and intent that the city of DeKalb can be a place where immigrants, refugees, those seeking asylum are treated fairly and humanely, that we as a community can provide some coordinated resources of support, and that we develop some systems of support. He also expressed concern over the ways in which busloads of immigrant and asylum seekers have been unfairly transported and often find themselves without that type of support. So with this ordinance, I know he's trying to thread a difficult needle, how to discourage these unfair, unscrupulous busing practices that have been treating people as political pawns in a very polarized debate over where we head with our immigration policy. How to provide welcoming support systems to the people who do need support, and how to do that with some sense of planning and foresight. And I recognize that that's not an easy task. But I join the voices here tonight that say that the proposal as written does not meet those goals or meet those intentions, and may instead be having the exact opposite impact of those intentions. And as my friend Lynn said, that there's sometimes a difference between intention and impact. So I encourage you, Mr. Nicholas, and I encourage you, the City Council, to just reflect on the impact that's already happened in such a short period of time since this was first unrolled Thursday night. The anti-immigrant voices that have stepped forward in favor of this ordinance, the members of the immigrant community and allies of the immigrant community who've also interpreted this ordinance as an anti-immigration measure. I know there's a sense of urgency and a sense of being ill-prepared, but I encourage Mr. Nicholas and the City Council to please pause. Don't pass this ordinance tonight. Engage the Human Relations Council, engage our local immigration attorneys, engage statewide resources like the Illinois Coalition on Immigrant and Refugee Rights, seek their assistance. Seek the assistance of local service agencies as well as the local faith community. And where possible, find ways to communicate with and engage with our local immigrant and refugee community. Resist the urge to panic. Take a breath. And make sure the impact of what is being written and what is put into action matches the intentions that I heard Mr. Nicholas express to the faith community this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Jim Mason?
Wow. I'm Jim Mason. I've been in the business in this county since, in this town since 1967. When I came to Northern Illinois University as a freshman, we had 14,000 students on campus. On campus. Now we have 3,900. Northern Illinois is lost 83% of the students and probably half of the faculty. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of support for the community. The community is running on empty. All these nice people here want to take care of everybody in the world. Well, there's 8.1 million people in the world, and we can't take care of all of them. A lot of people can't take care of themselves. I rent 5 apartments, I have to evict 3. We're living in, it's Gettysburg. I want to commend the council for taking immediate action to stop this invasion from Chicago and from the border. The border's going to be closed here in the next probably 12 months, and then we'll have to deal with what's going on. I would ask everybody in this room, raise your hand if you're willing to put up $1,000 a month to take care of these people coming on the bus. Raise your hand. You see, nobody will raise a hand. Everybody wants to take care of everything. 138. Everybody wants to take care of everybody, but somebody else is going to pay the bill. That's socialism, and it doesn't work. So again, I want to thank the council for moving on this. The faster you move on it, the faster it'll be resolved, and people will look someplace else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, I would take, we're on agenda item K, number 1, so that's ordinance 2024-001, amending Chapter 51, Traffic of the City of DeKalb Municipal Code to provide for the regulation of unscheduled bus stops in the city of DeKalb. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Walker. Before I ask the city manager to respond, I'm just going to keep it really brief because I know I probably talked too long last time. First of all, I want everyone in the audience to know I've heard a lot about the speakers that have been in support of this, and I've heard maybe racism or anti-migrant. Realize the speakers, if someone up here supports this ordinance, it doesn't mean it's aligned with the speakers that came before in any way, shape, or form. I also want to talk about the city of DeKalb is someplace that I grew up as a kid. Raised my family here, my business is here. My parents moved to this community because of the diversity in the city of DeKalb. Our Latino, our African American, our Asian population is incredible. Diversity, ultimately, I think, is the strength of our community. It's the strength that if you look at our history of innovation, a lot of that has been because of the educational diversity, the racial diversity, the economic diversity, but that diversity is an important piece. And I want to assure, at least from my seat, I will not speak on behalf of council, but from my seat, I absolutely welcome the diversity that we have here and all the people that we have here. We have immigrants. By the way, anyone here not an immigrant? From immigrant families, right? We're all immigrants here, is what it comes down to. We have a lot of migrants that are in our community right now doing absolutely amazing things. I think the city of DeKalb, when it comes to welcoming, when it comes to belonging, I think we have a proven track record of showing just that. And I believe it in the core of my heart. I absolutely believe that. I've heard a lot about that this is going against the migrants. I just want to be clear. If a company comes to our community and kicks families to the curb, and I said this last time, like in Kankakee, December 22nd, in the cold, and tells them they're in Chicago and drives away, I believe that company should be held accountable. That is the root of this ordinance. It's about the bus driver. Sorry, I shouldn't say the bus, it's about the bus company and holding them accountable on this. That's ultimately what this ordinance has. I've called mayors in the surrounding communities, I've called state reps, trying to get a better understanding of this, and what I've heard is this actually works. The more of our municipalities in the western suburbs and Collier counties that implement an ordinance like this, the more we're going to get people to the destination that has definitely not a perfect system, is continuously working on it, but has the ear of the governor and the resources of the state of Illinois, and is continuing to prove upon the system that they have for bringing asylum seekers, legal citizens, right, or legal people in the state of Illinois as asylum seekers, to be able to help process them. I'm sure we're still going to get migrants from that influx, just like we have on just about every issue that's come up before us. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is I think this is an incredible welcoming community. We want to continue to be that. I've heard, and I think some of this has been a little bit politicized, but I've heard the impact that this can make. But I believe in my heart, if someone's going to treat people, I heard the word human trafficking, which this is, in my eyes, full extent of the law is going to come after you, because I do not believe in what you're doing. So I support this ordinance, and will support it after the end of this discussion for this. But I want you to know, even though I know many of you might disagree with what some of us believe up here, the spirit is just that. I want to punish people that are treating people like human cargo. That's where my motivation is on this. So with that, City Manager, I don't know if you want to expand.
Just for the record, I should say that the ordinance before you tonight is the same ordinance that was before you on Thursday night. And just maybe just, if I can do this gently, Jared DeCeef, is that right? Okay. Okay. Just to correct, so there are a few aspects to this ordinance that are a little different than some of the municipalities in Kane County and so forth. Like those, we're looking for a plan and hoping for a plan that will not only talk about arrival times and, you know, intentions with respect to connections to Chicago. That's the least of the pieces we're looking for. What we're looking for is what is this company looking to do to help the passenger period of a couple of hours and with the best intentions, again, not the best welcoming hand that we can imagine. So the ordinance does a couple things. It requires a plan. And if a bus company shows up in the middle of the night, like the company that arrived in Glen Ellen, and some of you read about this in the Tribune over the weekend, just happened to be a Tribune reporter in the parking lot of the metro station when that bus arrived, and so was able to not only get firsthand accounts, but to recount what happened after the arrival. But we're looking to get the plan, and if the driver arrives without that plan, where there's no application that's been approved, the bus is immediately seized. It's not something you talk about, you put everybody back on the bus and you say, you better go to Chicago, darn it. That's not what happens. The bus is the leverage then that we get to help our community with resources to pay for overnight stays, food, and so forth. What if people want to go to Chicago, but Chicago's really not fully open for business until Monday morning? A couple days, $100 a night maybe in a hotel, food for a family, food for an individual, whatever. It all adds up. So we're looking for some way to provide for the emergent situation that otherwise would not be provided for. And we're saying by virtue of this ordinance proposal that is a good thing. It's the right thing to do. But it's only a piece of it. So how we define ourselves is more in how we as a group, and David spoke to this, how we as a group, as a community, some in established organizations, some just members of churches, how we set up a communication and a way of organizing ourselves and our resources and our goodwill in behalf of people who are arriving in need of assistance, in need of a helping hand. That's the part that's not as clear-cut as the ordinance is, which goes after the bus company in particular. This will not require an ordinance. It will require a lot of planning, a lot of talking, and so forth. But talking right now is at a premium because we don't know if we're going to see a bus or not. Frankly, we probably bought a little bit of time because some of the Rockford channels that were covering our meeting last Thursday said city passes ordinance. So for better or worse, that was a message that probably was heard. So in sum, I think we as a community can do better. There's a lot to do yet. We do have a plan at a staff level whereby we can afford what's needed for people to get to a safe place until such time as they can get to the place they want to go to. If the place they want to go to is DeKalb, then we just build on what we're trying to establish. We've all heard the phrase, two wrongs don't make a right. I think in this case, two rights don't make a wrong. We recommend you approve this.
City Council. Yeah. Alderman McAdams, go ahead.
This is a reading from the book of Leviticus 19:33 and 34. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. I have three numbers I want to discuss. The first one is 8.8 million. The second one is 210 million, and the third one is 2024. I Googled today how many jobs are available and open in the United States of America today. It's 8.8 million. We have more jobs than people. So the fear of the foreigner is misplaced. Do we have the revenue in the city of Illinois to deal with this issue? We just passed a budget that was $210 million. We absolutely have money. It's a matter of priorities. And the third number is 2024. It's an election year, and there's a presidential election. And that is going to have an impact on everything that happens. The bus company, as bad as they are, is not the villain. The villain is Republican Governor Abbott in Texas. So Republican is the problem. Now, I know, I've lived in DeKalb a long time, and I know every time you say there's a Republican lawmaker that's caused a problem, everyone rushes to protect the Republican lawmaker. The Bible doesn't say, when a Republican resides among you, do not mistreat them. It says, when a foreigner resides among you in your land. The villain is Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is a bad man. Greg Abbott is a horrible human being. Greg Abbott is a bad guy. We should not be, the bus company is the secondary issue. The Republican National Committee would like nothing more than an incontinent, retired game show host to be your president in 2024. And they will do anything in the world to get that to happen. My goodness. So Donald Trump is not going to be the next president. Donald Trump should never have been the president. Donald Trump is also a bad man, and he's a villain.
Let's keep it on topic to the...
I am on the topic.
Okay. All right.
This ordinance does not hurt the villain. This ordinance does not hurt the bad guy. The bad guy is a Texas governor. Let me tell you a story about being a bill collector in Texas. Texans don't pay their bills, and they're proud of it. They know they have homestead laws that you can't garnish their paychecks. You can't take away their cars. You can't repossess a car in Texas. You can't repossess a motorcycle. You can't garnish a paycheck in
Alderman
Texas.
McAdams, I'm not trying to interrupt you at
Yes, sir.
all. I apologize for that, but if we could keep it to this ordinance.
I am.
That would be
No,
great.
believe me, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
Let me get to my point. So the Republican National Committee would like you to be triggered by the scary brown people coming from the South. Ooh, they're scary. They're coming to get you. They're going to take your jobs, even though there's 8.8 million jobs available in this country. I am so angry at this ordinance. Great, let them work. Let them work. They're not a threat.
No, let the alderman talk. We had a chance for public comment, so go ahead.
Nonetheless,
This is his time.
the villain is a Republican governor. So we're not going to hurt the Republican governor with this. He's laughing that we're up here, we're going to punish your bus company. No, you're not, because he's going to hustle back to Texas, and he's going to tell you that you can shove it. He's not going to pay his bill. You're not going to steal his bus from him. He's not going to give you his bus. He knows he doesn't have to. And this whole thing is it's a feel-good thing. Yes, is it terrible what they did in Kankakee? Absolutely. But you're not going to hurt the bus company. You're not going to hurt the governor. You're just going to feel better, and you're going to dissuade the hostility you have for the villain who is a Republican. Do not dissuade your hostility that is directed at the villain, a Republican governor, by saying, let's go after a bus company. Let's go. This is like saying, I'm mad about the Bears, and I'm mad about the way the McCaskies handle the Bears, so I'm going to rob a hot dog vendor. It's not going to hurt the McCaskies. It's not going to make them feel bad. It's not going to make them change their mind. Greg Abbott wants you to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump and Greg Abbott are not going to get their way here. I'm going to vote no, not because I don't want to help the immigrant, not because I think that we're unwelcoming, because I'm not going to participate in a Republican National Committee psyop during a campaign that's clearly intended to make you emotional and make you make decisions about politics from the back of your brain where your emotions are, instead of the front of the brain where your rationalization is.
Thank you. Council. Alderwoman Larson.
I had wanted to say something before we started this. After our Thursday meeting, some opinions were voiced up here, and now today, just because sometimes some of us are quiet up here, me, doesn't mean that I agree with everything that's been said. So, but in this, going back to the buses and the asylum seekers, I think we are on two sides of the issue that can work together. They don't have to be, we either do the ordinance or we do a community help. Like I said before, I think these aren't exclusive, that we can be working and having, whether we get a bus or not, whether we get a bus today, whether people just trickle in from Chicago, to be welcoming in DeKalb. But what the ordinance does is it warns bus drivers that you cannot show up in DeKalb city limits at 2 in the morning and drop people off. And that nobody's here to welcome them, no one's here to find them a warm bed, a place to take a shower, have a meal. This is what we are telling the bus drivers. And yes, will we catch every bus driver? No, but that's not a reason to not have the law. Do we catch everybody who speeds? I speed a lot and I'm not caught a lot. So I know that that's not true. So, but we still have a law because you have to have the line in the sand. And if anything, I want to point out that I feel this law, and I hope I'm not being a Karen, that I'm hoping this law shows that we care about asylum seekers who are coming here. We don't want you dropped off at the side of the road. We want to be there, welcoming you off the buses, finding you some respite, finding you where you want to be. And if it is DeKalb, then fine, but not to just not have any resources there. So while we have this law in case somebody's trying to drop people off in the middle of the night, and we can stop that, but the community and the churches and the social services, they can continue to work, because you're right, this is not a, it's not a problem. It's just a, what do I want to say, a challenge of these people, any immigrants, whether they're from Asia, Europe, the Middle East, the South, that we are going to have more people that see the American dream as still can be here. And so we have to have a process. And so I think, I just feel that this is, it's a protection for them, that if somebody says they're coming to DeKalb, they're going to get here in the middle of the day, and there'll be people here that will help them get to where they want to be and where they can start their new life. And if we don't have this rule, the police could get, there's a group of 35 people that are right off of Peace and 88. And what's that saying? How welcoming are we then? So I guess I think we can do both. I think we can have the rules, and we can also continue to work to have more social services, to be even better prepared, that if we do get, whether it's a bus or immigrants, that we'll have things to offer them. So I'm voting for the ordinance.
Okay. Alderwoman Zazada.
Sure. I just want to have a few responses to some of the things that have been said, and I'm eager to hear what Alderman Verbeek has to say, because we haven't heard from him yet at all on this. But so first, in response to Jared DeSeff's comments, does the police department not already have the right to pull over a bus and then offer assistance? I mean, I feel like we already have that opportunity to pull over a bus at any time. Next, in response to City Manager Nicholas regarding impounding the buses, wouldn't it be easier to just escort the bus out of the city so that you wouldn't have to impound it? I don't see, what is our plan for transportation after we get to the point of getting people off the bus? Why wouldn't we just use that bus?
The buses are coming here to deposit people. I mean, literally, that's what they're doing. The bus driver, if you read that the Tribune story of the weekend, so the police in Glen Ellen did not have the ability to seize the bus, and so the bus that had arrived after the last train left for Chicago at 1:30 in the morning, the bus driver, only after some coaxing, picked up people again, loaded everybody back on a bus, and then drove around for a couple hours, snuck back to the Glen Ellen station at about 4 in the morning. It's all in the Tribune article, and dumped them off again. So the orders to the bus driver, the police have no way of countermanding, and the bus driver dropping off people, unfortunately, in the station had committed no crime, had broken no laws. And now you're putting the police in a position of saying, get out of town, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do, what I heard people saying in the audience tonight, and certainly I agree with that. We're trying to welcome people, not to send them on their way.
But I'm saying, what are we going to do with the people once we impound the bus?
Well, we talked about that at some length last week, and again, I will repeat. So because we provide emergency services, it's incumbent upon us as a city, no church, no social service agency, us, to provide care and succor basically for people who are caught in an impossible situation, like our arriving busloads of people in Northern Illinois. And if people were to arrive in town, what we put together was a plan to try to put people up overnight until we could sort out what's the next move, who wants to go to Chicago, who doesn't want to go to Chicago, who's hungry, who's in need of medical aid, and all the rest of that. And also now that if you pass this, we have a bus which helps us fund the efforts, the volunteer efforts, the other efforts that will be needed to provide services to people who are in the absence of those as they arrive. The people who arrived on the bus that was in Glen Ellen were still in shorts and short sleeves. And you know what the weather was like last Thursday night into Friday. So we had our first taste of winter. And they had thin white blankets that somebody gave them, we don't know who, and the reporter didn't say who, whether it was persons at the border or not. But these were not warm enough to shelter them from the cold. So they were much in need of help, and there was no safety net there to greet them and to help. We've got something patched together. It's going to get stronger because of conversations we're having now that we were having last week too, but as people have shown up here, we've gotten other names, people who said, call on me, or let's help work out a better plan, a more detailed plan. Interpreting is important, but not obviously the most important thing or the only important thing, but we want to be able to communicate to people that it's okay, you'll be safe. We'd like to take you someplace. Is that what you'd like to do? People arriving on the bus are not breaking any laws. And so if we want to welcome them, maybe, in the middle of the night, it makes a lot of sense not to basically to trust that there will be put people on one of our city buses and warm them as we're processing, basically on the scene, on the spot, and then take them someplace for the night. Let them have a shower, let them take care of themselves. So that is apart from this. The ordinance is to deal with the bus company and to impose consequences on them. So.
Right, and I guess that's part of my struggle, is that the ordinance does not at any point address what's going to happen with the people.
No, it can't, because they haven't committed any crimes. They're not.
And I'm not
they're
suggesting
no different than anybody else.
Right, I'm not suggesting that they have.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we have outlined clearly what we're going to do with the buses, but not with the people. And so there is an element of trust involved here that it's going to magically come together without planning. And
Well,
then why
let
do
me-
we
let me
have?
just say, so when there was a fire that night 2 years ago in your ward, and you were there, what are we going to do? So we patched together some. We had a couple social service agencies, and just by coincidence, one of them had about $30,000 they had just been given as a grant to help support homeless. And we had 40 people homeless all of a sudden. What did we do? Everybody had a spot that night. Red Cross showed up, but it was mostly our local volunteers and our fire department and police department that helped people get with other landlords and social service agencies to help them put together a personal plan for their family for the next days until they could get back in their place. So we have to have contingencies. They're not perfect plans, but we have well-experienced people who respond to emergencies, who do work things out very well, and they keep in regular contact with our social service agencies. Police department is on a daily basis talking to people. So is our community services coordinator, Jennifer Yoakum. So we've got some tools, and what we've been trying to do in the last weeks, we don't know everything that needs to be known. We don't have all the resources that people need, in terms of talent, the expertise, communication. So we're trying to put that together, and the stronger and the faster we do that, the better, I think.
I just feel like if we're going to codify with law what we're going to do with the buses, that it should include what's going to happen to the people. But one more point here, just as a response to Alderman Larson. She mentioned that, it says you can't, this ordinance says that you can't drop off, she said that it says you can't drop off people on the side of the road in DeKalb. My issue with the ordinance is you can drop off people right before you get in the city of DeKalb and anywhere surrounding the city of DeKalb. And so in that way, without other cities and the entire county supporting this ordinance, it becomes a Swiss cheese of a solution. I spoke with a city council member in Elgin where he explained to me that they have not enacted any sort of ordinance like this. They aren't even considering it in Elgin, and they have received 3 buses now, and the people simply got on the Metro and went to Chicago with no incident. So that's where I'm at with this right now. I'd love to hear Alderman Verbeek's take.
Alderman Verbeek, I guess it's your turn to speak.
No pressure. I'm glad Glen Ellen came up, though, because they do not have an ordinance. They believe that it will unduly restrict people from getting where they want to go. And that's how I feel so far with our efforts, is that all good intentions. I watched the meeting. Have to thank everybody that came out Thursday, and then also those that attended my ward meeting had some great suggestions, ideas, and some had concerns. So, but I really appreciate that, everyone stepping up. And to all of you for doing the legwork, Mayor, going to talking with mayors and state reps. That's great to get a feel for what the region's doing, but local people solve local challenges best. And those people will support that kind of effort that they help out with. So, certainly my challenge going into this was, first of all, timing. I understood the urgency from some of you. I completely understand that. But I'm not seeing or hearing that there is a public safety threat or imminent danger to the city of DeKalb. I understand the challenge of coordinating resources and whatnot, but I'm confident that we can do that. I think that it was mentioned by some of you, the notion of it was not fully vetted. So when we come out with an ordinance suggestion, really what my preference is that we are looking for community-wide input. Now, as much as I appreciate all of you that attended tonight and Thursday and to my ward meeting, you don't represent community-wide input in my view. Again, I appreciate your time, but we're not really reaching all of those at our traditional council meetings that we really need to make an effort to reach out to. There, I think, lies the value of the Human Relations Commission and the value of quickly setting up a task force in DeKalb County that would lean on our partners. And I've heard it I heard it at my ward meeting, I've heard it here, how, if we're not all in this together, how is that going to work out? Now, again, this is no offense to the ordinance proposal. I can't support it the way that it's written, but I have every confidence in us as a community to continue to be welcoming and to find the solutions that when people arrive here, that we can immediately help them.
Any other comments, council? Alderman Walker.
All right, so there's really no correct answer to, there's really no correct answer for any of this. But the one thing that I'm cognizant of is I don't really care about Glen Allen. I don't care about Elgin. No disrespect, I don't care about Lake County either. I ran for the DeKalb City Council 7th Ward. That's where I ran. I don't have to prove to anybody how black I am. I know where I'm from. I'm confident in who I am. So don't just always think because you got a black man up here that I'm supposed to vote a certain way, because that's not what it's about. The ordinance was wrote, and I don't know how many times Mayor Barnes, City Manager Nicholas can say, I don't know how else they can say it. Let me say this to you guys. Tomorrow we have a snowstorm. Everybody knows that. 11 inches. What if buses, about 4, let's say 4 come. Let's say 4 come. Just drop them off at the convocation center. We're all home. Is everybody gonna come out and help these people eat, sleep, any medical attention? And I know we're talking about, J.B. Pritzker and all this Republican and Democrat. I don't get into all that foolishness. But yeah, there may be money out there that we can get, but can we get that money like yesterday? Because the last I checked, we can't just get the, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna get the money, city manager, and have Pappas put up some quick buildings so these people can stay in them?
No, sir.
Are we going to take them to all the hotels here in town and pay for 30 to 60 days? It's not making, it's like we're trying to make sense out of some of the most things that just sound idiotic. Listen, I want everybody to come here. I wish we can get some more black people, Latinos, white people, everybody. But you cannot make something out of nothing. You just can't do it. And Joe, and hey, you're one of my favorite people, I will say. We served on the HRC together. We really did, and I loved working with you. But I would think that the chair or the HRC, if you guys wanted to do something, you would have already stepped up and you guys would already had a plan in mind or something to the effect of let's do A, B, and C, so we can already be on that. So we can already, as a council, already mentally like, okay, well, the HRC got a hold of City Manager Nicholas or Mayor Barnes, and they have a nice little plan, but you guys didn't do that. And hold on, I'll let you talk I'll let you talk. And another thing, it's like, okay, so we all want to, put holes in, this ordinance, and yeah, we could pick it apart all day, I get it, it's easy. But listen, the whole point is we don't want people sitting out, looking around at stars like, we're in Chicago, but I don't see no big skyscrapers. How do we get there? Then guess what? The city, the people that work for the city have to start scrambling and grambling and figuring out what we're gonna do. It just doesn't make sense for you guys to think that we can just pull out rabbits out of bags. It just doesn't happen that way. And the one thing we have to stop doing, you guys, straight up, and I'm the first one to tell, hey, they know. I got in trouble for some emails. I'll be the first person to point out any racism, how my people get treated, how any people get treated. I'm the first one to do that. But right here, trust me. Trust me. John Walker, ask how I am in the streets. It just doesn't pertain to this ordinance. Believe that. Just trust it does not pertain to that. We're trying to help these people get to where they want to go in a timely fashion and not be treated like you know what. That's basically what it comes to. So we have to quit trying to make our own narratives out of this. That's all it is, and I support it 100%.
All right, thank you. Alderman Zada.
Sorry. Okay. These are my last things. I realized I left one more thing out, just that, one, I want to respond a little bit to Alderman Walker. You know, Alderman Walker, you mentioned that we don't want to see people, you know, what if 4 buses come and drop off at the convocation center? This doesn't solve what happens with the people after that. This still doesn't address that. But finally, when we put out a policy like this that is unvetted and hasn't been tested, this policy welcomes lawsuits. This policy is going to put us in a bad spot where we are spending taxpayer dollars to fight in the event that we actually do get a bus, and in the event that we actually impound a bus. We're going to be fighting for the legitimacy of this ordinance to suggest that we actually have the right to claw back the money that we are trying to claw back.
Well, Alderwoman Larson.
I just have one question that's come up. I agree that, and I think City Manager Nicholas said that the asylum seekers, the passengers on the bus have done no wrong. So they haven't committed a crime, they're not being thrown in jail or anything. So they should have the right to be dropped off anywhere in DeKalb. That's true. They have that right. But then you also say, but they have more rights because now we want them, whenever they're dropped off, whenever they come, there's no ordinances, so they can be, and all of a sudden the city has to have services, 1 a.m., 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 p.m. But we have to have services, so it's either they're free to come like the rest of us and should get dropped off at a bus station or wherever and have whatever the weather is, whether we're dressed for it or not, or we have to have some limitations of when these buses can come to our city so we can provide the services. But you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, they can come anytime they want because they're just like American citizens. They have the rights as asylum seekers, but then they get all the services too at any time. We have to have some kind for the city. You can't expect a city to be 24/7 for whatever happens, and that there has to be some limitations.
Alderman Walker.
City Manager, can I ask you a question? So let's say we do get 4 bus loads as we speak. What plans do we have in place to feed these people, house them, and take care of them? On top of sending them, because they're going to be here 30 days, right, at least. On top of sending the kids to school, because all kids need to learn. So can you just tell me a plan that we would have at that?
Well,
I'm going to give you 1 bus load. I'm sorry. Not 4. I'm just going to go with 1.
Okay.
In 30
one bus load.
days, yeah.
And what we started planning for 3 to 4 weeks ago was, say, an overnight. What do we do? And Chicago is just setting up through its Office of Emergency Management its intake process and to settle people in a sanctuary city with football. There's a football game on. So that was initially our focus, and we talked to local hotels, and we could find a way. Obviously, if there was some conference or something, but through the holidays, that wasn't an issue. So we were pretty confident that we had enough space, particularly for 1 bus or several. And from the time that people would be disembarked by the private carrier, we worked out with our transit manager, and he worked out with TransDev, who owns the buses, to have a bus or buses, whatever was needed, to come, warm buses to warm people as they're gathering their belongings, and we have found interpreters to help find out what they want to do. Where do you want to go from here? And here are some options for you that we can assure you will be available to you. And food, we have provided, there are sacks and boxes of sacks and sacks of non-perishable snacks and so forth at City Hall right now. And we had also provided for a way to get them money to get to, if they want to go to Chicago, say the next morning, because many of these buses are arriving at night because it's a long bus ride. People are starting at at dawn in the morning in Texas, and it's taking a long time to get, and, this is a bus, this isn't a supersonic plane, so it's taken all day. So then, how would they get tickets? And we were going to provide for that through our finance department. We had cash on hand. It's sitting in a safe in City Hall right now. So we could arrive, and say, all right, here's $10, $10. It's $9 to go one way if you're going to Chicago, unless you're under a certain age, and then it's for free. And then also the main thing that Chicago wants to know and Metro wants to know is, when is this happening and how many people are coming? To the extent of our ability, we would then be experts in the number that we had, and we could inform them. And they said, then we're better prepared to receive. So we worked that out a couple weeks ago because we were asking, what if, what if, what if? Now, let's say this is enacted and we're asking for a 30-day plan that would be provided by the bus company. And let's say they sign everything and say, yes, we're going to do that, and they show up and they don't do a darn thing. So what are we going to do? We would be strained and tapped. We would do the best with the few people that we can pull off of shifts and out of City Hall and the rest. That's not an army by any means. But this is where we need the community to help. The phone trees with various churches, various social agencies, not just from DeKalb, but working in the county, working outside the county, from Rockford and so forth, where there are better, larger organizations, more funded and so forth. But all of this starts with communication. So we have to know who and what. And in a way, it'd be a chain of events powered by goodwill that would see that results would be obtained in the best interest of the passengers. And I think it was Alderman Larson who said last week, we want people to leave here feeling they were in better shape than when they arrived.
So has NIU stepped up and, contributed anything or even reached out to us to say, hey, let's give you a helping hand or anything of that nature?
Not as yet. Most of the people who are in the position to make those decisions have it's been closed down, but we've kept, as the mayor said, the chief of staff has known all along, saw the first drafts of this ordinance and listened as we tried to explain what the more important ingredient and the ingredient that needs more work, and that's the community support.
Gotcha.
Okay. Alderman Verbeek, and then I'm going to call roll here pretty quick. So
That's good. Agree with you, Alderman Zasada. There's already a number of lawsuits that are active in these situations where, again, we're leaving ourselves exposed. So again, I understand the idea, the notion, I hear you about the urgency, but again, I really believe that local people can decide what's best in this situation.
all right, so before I call roll, I wanted to summarize a couple quick things. One, this is part of a larger discussion, absolutely. I'm really glad this triggered a larger discussion. To Alderman Walker's point, my entire time as mayor, not one, I'll stand corrected, all but one person has reached out to me about what are we going to do about migrants. And that person reached out to me seeing it as a revenue generator. We can make money off the state of Illinois, not the humanitarian piece, none of that. We can make money. That's the only thing I've heard on this particular issue. So I am glad that this is going to trigger a larger community discussion. Absolutely. Happy to be a participant in that. Again, nothing to do with migrants. We really have a plan for being able to take care of them, but short term right now. If we can come up with a longer term plan, great. Right now, we got at least a short term plan. So just like Kankakee, when that family is kicked to the curb, and I love the idea of the concept of, or calling it human trafficking, which this is what this is. There's penalties to the bus company. That's what this ordinance is about, 100%. Also, we impound cars. We do that. Do it all the time. We've got a lot full of them. So that's something that can be definitely done. Definitely not on board with escorting the bus to the city limits and saying good luck. Not for that either. Again, just want to punish the bus driver. Ultimately, what it comes down to, not bus driver, I keep saying that, because the bus driver could be innocent in something like this. The bus company. We're going after the bus company with this ordinance. This discussion about what are we going to do, should we get bus loads of migrants? Again, let's have that discussion. But this is just about the bus companies impounding their bus and fining them for being horrible human beings and allowing this to happen and participating in, to Alderman McAdams' comments, to Governor Abbott's reindeer games. This is what this is. It's games. So, again, I'm for it. Just wanted to clarify, going after the bus companies. Happy to participate in a larger discussion when it comes to migrants. Absolutely 100%. The immigrants and migrants that we have, you are welcome. If you haven't felt that way, I apologize, but this is a very welcoming community. I think our diversity shows just that. So with that, roll call, please.
Zasada,
No.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
No.
Verbic,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
5 aye.
So all ordinance 2024 passes on, 2024-001 passes on second reading. We have a few more agenda items. You're more than welcome to stick around. I know many of you, it's late. You got things to do. By all means, it's not an offense if you leave at this point. Can't say enough how much we appreciate you coming out, your participation. And again, if you want to reach out to me post this conversation and help me grow and learn a little bit more, obviously, based off your perspective, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, thank you all. All right, agenda item L, ordinances first reading. Number 1, ordinance 2024-002, approving the rezoning of property located at 122 Cotton Avenue to the TFR, two-family residential district, and approval of a special use permit to allow 2 dwelling units on a lot that does not meet the minimum lot size requirements. Neville Gallion. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gallen is in the audience tonight and be happy to answer any questions. He does not have prepared remarks to make. So this is a matter that's been through staff review and also been reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. There's a property, 122 Cotton, as the background explains, that was used as if it was a duplex or two-family building for a number of years. Then the building was vacated, and from about 2018 until very recently, it's been vacant. And as the owner has been working on trying to make improvements, but the economics are such in an area where there are other two-family units and multifamily units where he would like to, rather than have it go back to a one-family, to restore it to a two-family, but to do it according to our locally adopted building codes. And so that basic premise was brought to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which reviewed it and with the support of some of the neighboring properties, the commission voted unanimously to bring it to you, and we recommend your approval.
Questions or comments, council? Hearing none? Hearing none? Okay, roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance 2024-002 passes on first reading. Are you hoping we would waive second reading, City Manager?
Yes.
I take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Walker, I heard. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance, or second reading has been waived for ordinance 2024-002. Number 2, ordinance 2024-003, approving the rezoning of property located at 1209 Pleasant Street to the RC1 Residential Conservation District, approval of a special use permit to allow a two-family dwelling unit duplex, and approval of a minor subdivision plat, Habitat for Humanity of DeKalb. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And Sherry Cosmos is here tonight representing Habitat for Humanity of DeKalb County. Thank you for your patience. And likewise, she would be happy to answer any questions, but she's not got prepared remarks to make this evening. So this is a property, again, we're looking at a two-family dwelling opportunity, but this is on Pleasant Street, 1209 Pleasant Street. The site is tight like many of those sites over there, but what's proposed here with a two-family layout, this was reviewed by staff and also by the Planning and Zoning Commission, that it would meet all the required building setbacks. So if it doesn't meet the minimum land area, it doesn't impose and diminish, as they say in the zoning world, the inadequate capacity for light and air to adjacent properties. So it's not overhanging and crowding adjacent side lot lines. Many of the properties on this strip, which was developed back in the late 19th century, long before there was anything called zoning, are variously zoned. When zoning did come in, basically I don't even know who the planner was then, but it was, that looks like commercial, that looks like light industrial, that looks like residential, and so these stuck, but they may, by our more modern dimensions and considerations, not purely fit. But this will not be an anomaly. The comprehensive plan that was passed by you in 2022 represents a residential use in this area, so actually a little bit more intense than what's proposed. So we recommended to the Plan Commission that they consider this and come away with a recommendation to you that was positive, and that's what they did by unanimous vote, and we tender that to you tonight.
Council, questions or comments? Well, wonderful. I think it's a great proposal, and you all do absolutely amazing work, and the impact you've made on, obviously, the lives, but the impact you make on the community, it really does warm the heart. So thanks for all that you all do. Roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2024-003 passes on first reading. I take a motion to waive second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Walker, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Questions or comments, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zasada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2024-003, second reading has been waived. Moving on to agenda item M, reports and communications. Councilman reports. Alderman Verbic, you want to kick us off?
Be happy to. Had an outstanding Ward 6 meeting last Thursday. Zach Gill, outstanding work in preparation and presentation for that meeting. We discussed traffic calming measures in the Knolls, among other things, other projects going on under city engineer's purview. So very well attended. Thanks to everyone who made it out.
Alderman Perkins.
No report.
Alderwoman Larson.
2 quick things. On Friday, I was had the pleasure of being at the police department for a promotion of a woman, a female officer, to
Liz Favreau.
sergeant. And in the 170-plus years of DeKalb Police Department, she is only number 2.
That's
So
awesome.
it took a long time getting there, but it was so great to be part of seeing her rise through the ranks and the great kudos she got from the chief. And secondly, we get fabulous reports that are passed on through City Manager Nicholas, but put together through all the staff members about all the different revenues that the city gets and great charts. And I was just reviewing them as I'm doing my homework, I affectionately call it, that a lot of our taxes that we get locally that end up in funds that we get to keep our city running have been down quite a bit. And so I just always want to remind everybody, if you can go to a store and it's got the 6011 zip code or 60115 zip code, that's a store we want to go to, because that, you're like, oh, it's just a few cents here or there. it adds up. So when we shop local, really shop local and stay in our zip code. And that's it.
Alderwoman Zazada.
I am planning to have a ward meeting coming up soon. No dates announced yet, no locations announced yet, but it is planned for by early February is what we're thinking.
Alderman Smith.
No report.
Alderman McAdams.
I just want to say that our Public Works Department is ready for whatever Mother Nature has for us, and I want to let you know that they do a great job every time. If you have an issue, reach out to your alderman, and we'll make sure that it gets addressed. And I also wanted to say that the political gamesmanship that's been taking place in my ward has concluded. I have located good housing in the 5th Ward and will remain on the City Council for the duration of my term.
Alderman Walker.
All right, so I hate to ruin everybody's night, but I'm going to take 10 to 15 minutes of everybody's time. There's been some things kind of weighing. Can people hear me? I want to make sure I'm clear. There's been a few things kind of weighing on my heart, and I just kind of want to kind of get it off. So a few of us in this room, we attended a school board meeting about a month ago. You know, we basically understood and we knew what the main purpose was. You know, the one thing the mayor and I met on when I was running, he definitely told me one of his biggest agendas, he wanted to help lower these taxes, and he wanted all taxing bodies on it. So he drilled that in me, and I agreed 100% with him. I hope it's okay that I say that.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
You know, so, and as a taxpayer, you know, forget being an alderman, but just as a taxpayer, I was all on board. So, you know, I went to the school board meeting, and a person like me, I think you guys know I'm very vocal, and I didn't go just to hear the numbers and all that. I just went for, you know, the sitcom of it. I wanted to see who is who, why are we playing games with people, because that's what I do. You know, there was a gentleman who spoke on the council, or spoke to the school board, and he kind of, you know, in sort of fashion, kind of, you know, badmouthed our mayor. And Mayor Barnes and I, we aren't the best of friends. We are probably the best couple at agreeing just to disagree, but respectfully. But the one thing that, you know, and I feel like, you know, I enjoy working with everybody on here, and I know we go back and forth a lot, but, you know, you guys have taught me a lot as the new alderman, you know, being green, you know, much as I am, but I really enjoy working with you guys. So, and I honestly do consider us a team. So, you know, when our mayor got attacked by a gentleman talking about, you know, a school board member that rents a spot from him in his business, I kind of took, you know, exception to it, because I just think, you know, when you're in a position, and you know a lot of people, you always want good people to run for good things, you know, commissions, committees, city council, school boards, you always want to get the best people on there. So, you know, if anybody wants to, you know, lash out the mayor, then you better lash out someone like me. I worked in the Central Business District for 25 years. I bugged City Manager Nicholas before I was an alderman about getting people awnings through the TIF district. I bugged him about getting furnaces, all those things. And I consider those people family, so if people want to, you know, lash out and, you know, discredit or slander anyone, do that to me, period. So, and let me get on for, you know, what I'm talking about. So, you know, Mayor, I'm sorry that your wife was there and you had to go through that, but, you know, that's what we're about. That's what we do. And the reason that I pointed that out is because we have a horrible, let me retract that. With our DeKalb schools, they're not very pleasant. I'm going to say that right now. They're probably some of the worst schools that I've heard in the whole Illinois region. Now, I have some numbers that's going to kind of, you know, blow a lot of people's mind away. But I think the problem that I'm having is a lot of our teachers, a lot of our principals, and a lot of our staffs are being held in the blame of this, when in all actuality, not the council, but John Walker feels like they don't get the proper, you know, tools, and they're not equipped with everything that they need to raise our kids who are with teachers more than they're with their families. So let me start off with coming with some facts since that's what people like to talk about, when we go places, and that's one thing I respect about everybody here, we come with facts. We don't come with stories. We don't come with narratives. We come with facts because we have solid leadership, and that's how we do things. So when you move to a town, you want to look into a lot of things. Taxes, school, safety, attractions. That's what makes you go to a town, right? Or stay in a town, I would think, right? Those are the major components. So I want to point out, School District 425. I want to see some numbers, how our schools do. There's something called the School Digger Rating Report. This kind of, it ranks all the schools, all the reported districts in the state of Illinois. 428 ranks 741 out of 823 reported districts. And those districts consist of 8 primary schools, which are your elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and a high school. And these numbers are based off numbers from math and reading proficiency scores. So let me give you a breakdown of each school in our area. Brooks Elementary, out of 2,077, they rank 1,760. Horrible. Jefferson, a little better, 934. Malta Elementary, which is a dear to my heart school that I visit many times, 1,435. And keep in mind, this is out of 2,077. Lincoln Elementary, 1,496. Little John Elementary, 1,527. Cortland, 1,633. Tyler, 1,637. Founders, 1,731. Huntley, 900. Huntley is a middle school, and this is out of 1,367 schools in the state of Illinois. They rank 955 is Huntley, and Clinton Rosette is 1,136. DeKalb High, out of 699 schools reported, ranked 467 with a 79% graduation rate. That is horrible and disgusting. Now, we have something called targeted schools. What was a target school, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. A targeted school is a school in which one or more student groups is performing at or below the level all student groups in the lowest performing 5% of schools. Our targeted schools, Brooks, Malta, Cortland, Tyler, Clinton Rosette, and DeKalb High School. Sickening. This School Digger report card ranking also ranks schools from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest, 10 being the best, the highest. Most of the elementary schools rank anywhere from 2 to 3, horrible, except Brooks was 1. Our high school was the highest at 6, and like I said, with a 79% graduation rate. So what I want to get out to people in the community and in the town is we're done blaming our teachers, we're done blaming principals, we're done blaming staff. We're done with that. We're done with that blame game. Personally, John Walker, I blame the leadership. You can't expect teachers and principals and staff to teach our kids when teaching conditions aren't the best at all. Common sense. They have horrible behavioral issues, massive classroom disruptions, violence. Let me do this. Exhibit A. The district and the police department's physical altercation data that happen in the schools. Now, I don't know if you know, but I know a lot of kids in this area. Have a daughter that goes to middle school. So before the new SRO thing got worked up or whatever, I was told by several kids that 4 high school girls tried to jump one of our SRO officers and take his gun in the meanwhile. That's super crazy. That's utterly ridiculous to even have to tell a story like that. And for that kids, or for those kids to be able to report back to the CALB ever, it's just utterly ridiculous to me. Sorry, I don't mean to get mad. It's just when it comes to teachers, I have a special place in my heart for them because I know how hard they work. Trust me. So, and keep in mind, all these are numbers that came in not this year. We just got over with the year of 2022 number. But I'm going to show you. This is the incident of aggression. And basically, this report is basically a range from pushing, hitting, kicking, or a physical fight, altercation. So 2021, and I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to go through a few of them. So I'm just going to show you the increase of all these, fights and whatever goes on. So in 2021 to 2022 school year in August, it was 48 occurrences. A year later, it jumped up to 75. 2 years later, rather.
Was that COVID year?
What's that?
Was that during COVID?
When it jumped up?
The 2020 was a low year.
2021 could have been. Could have been COVID. Yeah, I think because COVID was 20. Yeah, it was. It jumped up. Hell, 1 is bad enough for me, Carolyn.
Oh, yeah.
But, so, I just want to put out things like that. So that's one thing.
And Alderman Walker, you're at 10 minutes.
5 more, please. Yep.
Or a couple would be great. We're hearing you.
Hey, I have to get this out because there's too much bashing with teachers, and I'm not okay with it. Because, Mayor Barnes, you do understand we are the general taxing body in the city, and we all have to keep all this in consideration.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I agree, Alderman Walker.
So another thing is, I have a police report that the SROs, they have to turn in. I'm just going to go through. At the high school, there's battery, domestic battery, gang activity, drugs, assault. These are at our high school. My baby girl will be attending there next year. And this won't happen to her, I can tell you that right now. There's cannabis, drugs, domestic. Now let me go to the middle school. These are the kids that are coming up. Some of them are already there because this is ending in 2022. Burglary, burglary of a motor vehicle, cannabis, fighting, domestic. In middle school, not high school, middle school, kids. I have a 14-year-old. She's around this. So let me just go to the elementary school. And I didn't hear this, and this kind of threw me for a loop. This is elementary. Possession of a firearm. Domestic battery. How? Criminal damage to property. So, I know we can all sit up here and play the blame game and blame teachers and principals, but it just seems to me we're living in a time now where teachers are scared of superintendents are scared of the parents are scared of their kids, while the kids walking around scared of nobody or nothing, and no consequences whatsoever need to be taken, they think. So how do we expect our kids to learn anything, or how do we even expect for them to even be model citizens when this is how the chain of command works? It just makes no sense. So I hope council, and I hope I can work with City Manager Nicholas, Mayor Barnes. I hope we can come up with something where our SRO officers in the schools can have more authority to calm this down, because it's not going to go away. I talked to a high school kid, and he told me he cares nothing about citations. They care nothing about those. Yeah, he laughed in my face. He was like, I don't care about a citation. There's something that needs to be drastically done in order for the teachers, principals and staff, and kids to have safety. Safety is the number one thing, right? When you should feel as safe at a school, if you're a kid, like you feel at home. And I think everybody would agree with that, 100%. But as you can see, we're not headed that direction. We're just not. So what I urge is, we can always talk about money and cutting taxes and trying to skim off the top where everybody can, but at the end of the day, this is I remember I said Thursday, let's get away from the microcosm of things, and let's scale back to the microcosm. That's our town, that's our schools, these are our kids. Let's figure out a way where we can get things back, because keeping things at status quo is not going to keep working for me, and I don't think it's going to keep working for most of us. Carolyn, you have kids in the district. Well, you're getting old now, but I'm old.
But we did.
But on a serious note, you guys, this is really bothering. Like it's really bothering me because I'm tired to adapting to the bad parents and to the bad kids. Why do we have to adapt to them? They should be adapting to how we do things and how we need to do things. It makes no sense. So going forward, I just hope that, we can somehow work out something to where our SRO officers, they may even need more there, but we need to work something out to where we can get a handle on the violence in the school district. And I'm just gonna leave you with this. You guys can tell I did a lot of work with this. I just basically urge, the district's leadership just to equip with these teachers and staff with every tool that they need to better. And I hope we as the city can honestly help them as well, because the violence and the behavioral issues in the school needs to cease, and it needs to cease right now. Because I don't want to be on channel 13 with you know what. I don't want to be there. So
Great.
That's basically all I have to say.
Thank you, Alderman Walker. I'm going to wrap things up really quick. And our first ordinance of the year was the busing ordinance. And you want to talk about spurring a lot of dialogue within our community. I've heard from a ton of people. And it's been great to see the amount of participation. Like I said, up until we brought this ordinance forward, no one asked about migrants. No one. So this has helped trigger, ultimately, a larger conversation, which is great, and the community is going to get involved, I hope. But to see the public participation is what's awesome. To hear you can hear the passion in a lot of us, and we may not disagree. Doesn't mean anyone's wrong, doesn't mean anyone's necessarily right. It's nice that we can have disagreements, we get an opportunity to express our opinion, and more importantly, we have to vote on what we think is best for the community, and I think we've already done that this year with 2 meetings already. So I just want to say I'm really proud to serve with all of you. It's just been fantastic, 2023. I think we accomplished a lot of good. And I'm super excited to see what all of us, and Alderman Walker, you mentioned being part of a team. Us as a team, figuring out what we're going to do in 2024 as well. So I think you all represent very well. With that, Happy New Year. I think 2024 is going to be great, and I hope it's great for all of you. So with that, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Walker. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Nay, same sign. We are adjourned. There it is. Thank you for coming out, everyone.
Sit.